YouTube video on this channel. And so I really just wanted to take a second to thank you for hopping on here and getting to learn a little bit of math while we are away from school. Even though we aren't in the classroom, we can still take any opportunity we have to learn and just to continue to grow in any way that we can. All right, so let's get started with our first packet. And so if you want to pull that open on your Chromebooks, that's definitely what I suggest, is to either have it open on your Chromebooks or on your laptop or on your phone. You do not need to print it out whatsoever. Okay? So let's take a look at that first problem. We have a circular tablecloth that has a diameter of 6 feet. So on your paper, on your whiteboard, I'm gonna use a whiteboard for today, but wherever you feel best, you go ahead and you pull out that key information, right? So I know my diameter is 6, right? Just as the picture shows me, my table is a circle, mi mesa es un círculo. The diameter, o sea, de un principio del círculo to the other end, it's going to be 6 feet. So I'm going to label that just so I have that visual. Okay. Now they're asking me for the area. So if I go down, I'm going to say, okay, what is the area? There's a formula that I need, and I'm going to give you a second to think about that formula and write it down on your papers. Got it? Cool. Pi times r squared. All right. So write that down if you haven't done so already. Pi times r squared. Okay. Now, what is r? How do we find r? What does r signify? Well, r is going to be the radius. Right? And what is the radius? Half the diameter, right? The radius is going to be from any end point of the circle to the center. That is going to be r. So if my diameter is 6, then my radius has to be 3. Right? So when I go down and I plug in the information that I already know in my equation, I'm going to get pi times 3 squared. 3 squared, what does that mean? Let's go back and think about exponents. Okay, what do exponents mean? It means I have a number at the top, and it's 2, so I'm going to multiply that same digit twice. So 3 times 3, which is going to give me 9. My area, I'm just going to bring down the pi. I'm not even going to bother to multiply by 3.14. I'm going to get 9 pi as my area, okay? So that would mean that the answer that I would circle would be C, 9 pi. Cool. Let's take a second to erase our whiteboards if we're using them. Switch our paper over, scroll down. Ooh, this whiteboard's gonna get dirty. Number 3. Same idea, if you printed it out, that's awesome. If you didn't get the chance to, totally okay. Just make sure you have your work right alongside watching this video. So we have a coin and we have a dice. Tenemos la moneda y tenemos ese dado. We have those two options, right? And we're playing a game. We want to flip the coin and roll the dice at the same time. ¿Verdad? So I'm going to do my best at drawing this quick little thing, right? So I have my coin and my dice. When I roll my dice, what are my outcomes, right? That's the word that it's asking us for. When we're searching for outcomes, we want our answer to be a what? Yeah, a number, all right? What are my outcomes when I roll that dice? Let's start with that. I can get what, or what, or what, or what, or what, or what? Yeah, I can get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or a 6, right? Whenever I roll that dice, that's what my outcome could be. What about when I flip that coin? Yeah, I can get heads or tails, right? Puedo voltear la moneda y me puede dar cabezas or tails. 2 outcomes, right? Same with my dice, I have 6. Now we're going to do both at the same time. And just like we talked about in class, there are a couple of different ways that I can get the total outcomes. And one of those methods is a tree. right? So just as I started with my heads or with my dice or with my coin, I can start stemming off of each option. So I'm going to take a look right over here at my dice. So I'm going to say I can get 1, heads or tails. I can roll a 2, but I could also get heads or tails. I can roll a 3, but I could also get heads or tails, and so on. So once I go through and I count all of my branches, what's going to be the total outcome of possibilities? Yeah, 12. Great. And in order for us to check our work, there's another way that we can do this. I'll give you some time to think about it on your own. Cool, cool, cool. You can multiply the outcomes of each variable, right? So when I have my dice, I have 6 total outcomes. And when I have my coin, I have 2. 6 times 2 is going to give me a grand total of 12. All right, we're moving right along to problem number 6. And they're asking us about this cute little number line. And they're asking us which expressions are going to be represented by the number line. So we start at positive 1, right? We know because it's after 0. And we're going down to negative 8. So we're moving down our number line, right? So let's start with A. We'll do process of elimination for this one. 1 minus 8 equals 9. Can that be our answer? Does this tell us that it's equal to 9? No, right? So A cannot be it. Let's go down to B. 1 minus 9 equals negative 8. Well, I have 1, and I'm moving down how many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Looks like B could definitely be one of our answers. So we'll go ahead and circle that one. C is saying 1 plus 9 is equal to negative 8. Well, we know that that simply can't be true because 1 plus 9 is going to give us positive 10. What about D? 1 minus negative 9 is equal to negative 8. Let's think that through. 1 minus negative 9 is equal to negative 8. When I have subtraction of a negative number, I'm going to change the operation and change the sign. So I'm left with 1 plus 9. And does 1 plus 9 equal negative 8? Just like we talked about in C, it does not. And let's finally take a look at E. 1 plus negative 9 equals negative 8, starting at 1, and then I'm adding that negative value, right? So it's just as if we talked about when you go to the bank, and if I tell you you have $1, but you actually owe the bank $9, that's where that negative value comes in. You owe $9, but you have that $1 in your pocket and you give it to the bank. What's left over? Negative 8, negative 8. Awesome. So your 2 answers are going to be B and E. One of the things that I always like to do after reading and annotating is taking that key information and making it nice and easy to look at, right? So at noon, the temperature was negative 4 degrees Celsius. At midnight, it dropped 8 degrees, right? What does it mean for the temperature to drop? Does it mean that it's going to get warmer, the temperature is going to go up, or does it mean that it's going to get colder? Yeah, it's going to get colder, right? So I have a small little equation that I created for myself. I said that there's going to be the start plus or minus any change is going to give me the end temperature. And that's what the question is asking us about. So let's take a look again at process of elimination. I have A, negative 4 plus 8. Okay, let's think it through. I start at negative 4, but my temperature is dropping 8 degrees, which wouldn't mean that I'm adding a positive 8. So A cannot be my answer. What about B? Negative 4 minus 8. Yeah, that could definitely work because if I'm dropping in temperature, I'm going to subtract that 8. The absolute value of negative 4 minus 8, well, absolute value is asking me for a positive value, right? It's that absolute value after 0 on the number line. So C cannot be it because we know that if it got colder than negative 4, it's still going to be negative. Let's look at D. Negative 4 plus negative 8. We started at negative 4, and now we're going to add that negative value, that negative 8 degrees. So D can definitely be a response. For E, I have negative 4 minus negative 8. Well, if we think about it in terms of money, if I'm subtracting a negative value, it means I'm canceling that debt that you have, right? So if I'm telling you, oh, you owe me $8, you're -8, but then if I say, oh, don't worry about it, you can subtract that value, you're suddenly going to end up in the positives, right? That's why we changed the operation and changed the sign. It becomes a +8. So this definitely cannot be our answer. For F, again, I have that absolute value sign, and I know from the situation that I need to have a negative value. So the only two answers that could work are B and D. Moving on to our exit ticket and that first problem, 15 out of 25 teens said that they eat breakfast every morning. So I went ahead and I created that fraction, right? I have 15 out of 25. I know that 25 is going to be my denominator. It's the total amount of students. Then I'm going to create a proportion, right? This fraction is going to be proportional to the one given to us by the problem. So how many out of 1,350 are likely to have breakfast each morning? Well, because these two fractions are proportional, I can see what they did to the denominator here to move into that second denominator, right? So what can I multiply 25 by to get 1,350? I can start by dividing. Okay? So how many times does 25 go into 1,350? Let's start with 1, too small, 13, too small, 135, yeah, 25 definitely goes into 135. And because 25 is a really easy number to work with, think about quarters. How many quarters can fit into $1.35? 5, right? If you have 5 quarters, that's $1.25 or 125. So 5 times 25 is going to give me 125. Now I'm just going to subtract normally. 5 minus 5 is 0, 3 minus 2 is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. I'm going to bring down that 0. 25 goes into 100 4 times. And 4 times 25 is 100. We have an even answer. Okay? So 25 times 54 is going to give me 1,350. Whatever I do to my denominator, I'm going to go ahead and do to my numerator. 15 times 54, right? Give you a second to try it on your own, or you can follow along with me. 5 times 4 is going to be 20. 4 times 1 is 4, plus that 2 is going to be 60. Now I'm going to go into my next place value. 5 times 5 is going to be 25. 5 times 1 is 5, plus that 2 is 7. Make sure you leave that space there, right? You can put in a 0. 0 plus 0 is going to be 0. 5 plus 6 is going to be 11. 1 plus 7 is 8. So 15 times 54 is going to give me a grand total of 810. So to answer your question, what is a reasonable prediction for the number of teens who eat breakfast out of 1,350? 810. Make sure you have that work. Cool, cool, cool. We'll go ahead and erase the work that we did here to move into that second question. So for number 2, they gave us a data set. They said 4, 4, 3, 6, and 8. And they're asking us to find that mean absolute deviation, right? What is going to be the MAD? Okay. When I find the MAD, my first step is to just find the mean. So I'm going to go ahead and add 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 6 plus 8. Right? So I'm giving 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 3 is going to be 11, plus 6, 17, plus 8, 7 plus 8 is 15, 25, okay? That's what I got when I added up all of those values, and now I have to divide by the total number of values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 25 divided by 5 is going to give me a mean of 5. So that's my first step, to just find the mean, and I'm going to go ahead and label that. Once I find the mean, I have to find the distance of each value to the mean. So let's start with 4. And one of the ways that I can do this is to make a nice chart and keep it organized. So I'm going to go 4, 4, 3, 6, and 8. Those are my values. The distance between 5 and 4 is going to be 1, right? We're moving in that positive direction. That second value is going to be the same thing. The distance between 3 and 5, or 5 minus 3, is going to be 2. The distance between 6 and 5 is going to be 1. And the distance between 8 and 5 is going to be 3. So now I have those values. I have all those distances recorded against the bottom. And that's going to be my new data set. With that data, I'm going to go ahead and find the mean. So I'm going to add 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 3. 2 plus 2, 4 plus 1 plus 3, 5 plus 3 is going to give me 8. So when you add up all those values, you should get 8 as a final answer, and I'll just double check my work. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Same thing. Once I added up all those values, I'm going to divide by the number of values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8 divided by 5 is going to be my answer. And I can go ahead and just do some long division. I'm going to do it up here for space. 5 goes into 8 just once. 1 times 5 is going to be 5, subtract 3. And now I'm going to add that decimal, right? Because I know I'm going to have a remainder. Five goes into 30, 6 times 5 is 30. Our MAD is going to be 1 and 6/10, right? Might be a little tricky to see. So make sure you find the overall mean, which was 5. Once you have that mean, you're going to find the distance of each value to the mean, right? And these are really easy numbers to work with, so hopefully you were able to figure it out on your own. Once we start getting to more difficult numbers, maybe with some decimals, it'll get a little trickier. Just make sure to stay super organized with your work, and I promise you'll be fine.